All right, everybody, welcome back for part two. This will probably be the second and final part because there's really not much else to do. I have a brand new power supply we're going to put in. That's the original power supply that came with the machine, and it's 1997, November 24th, 1997, 25 years old almost. So it's going bye-bye. Brand new power supply is ready to go in. And as you can see, the cabinet's pretty much pristine on the inside as it is. So a little cleanup, a little wipe down, new power supply, get everything back in the looms, and the inside will basically be done. And then we'll work on the control panel. I've only got about an hour and a half of daylight. It's 6:30 p.m. on a Friday, so we'll try and tackle the power supply, getting the PCB installed, getting a monitor installed, getting the control panel cleaned up, disassembled, cleaned up, put back together, and then we'll have to deal with the cabinetry stuff, touch up and whatnot tomorrow. So we'll do that then. But I want to talk about the PCB. So this is the original PCB that came with the machine. And this is the one that has a bad sync circuit. So the original owner of this, I should say, the original owner who sold me the machine contacted me and said, hey, I'm converting my MK4 to a Killer Instinct. If you want the PCB, you can have it. I said, absolutely. So he kind of felt bad that he sold me a machine with a bad board. So he was kind enough to give me the MK4 PCB out of his other machine that was in better shape than this that he's converting to MK4. So not only did he let me keep the original PCB, but he gave me a working MK4 PCB. So I have this now, and this will go in the machine. As far as what happened here is these ROMs used to be on this board, and these were the Invasion ROMs, and I converted them. I couldn't test this board with the Invasion ROMs installed. It wouldn't let me. So I had to convert these ROMs into MK4 to test what was going on here with this sync problem. So the ROMs that came on this working board I took off and put on here because these ROMs that used to be on the bad board that were Invasion, I converted to MK4 and put labels on them. And then after I had done all that, he contacted me and said, hey, I have this other board, you can have it. So these are the original MK4 ROMs that were on this board. I took them off this board, put them on the bad board, and these ROMs that were originally Invasion that I converted to MK4 that were on this board, I put on this board, so I didn't need to reprint another set of labels. Does that make sense? I hope so. So what we're going to do is get this project complete. In another video, or maybe a series of videos, I'm going to attempt to try and repair this one, and I'll show you what it's doing and everything at that time in a later series of videos. But this will be just dedicated to getting the MK4 all restored, and repairing this, attempting to repair this will be on a separate video or series of videos. So stay tuned for that, but this will be later. But at least for now, we have a working PCB. So that's an awesome thing without having to go and actually find one, spend $500 for one, all that kind of jazz. So very grateful to the previous owner of this for letting me have this PCB out of his MK4. And he'll be converting it to Killer Instinct, so he says he doesn't need it. I said, okay, so I couldn't get there fast enough. All right, so we'll set this PCB aside for now. Okay, what we're gonna have to do is get the camera on the tripod and get this old power supply out, the new power supply in, get everything wiped down, cleaned up, PCB installed, we'll harness back in the wire loom, get it all connected, and then we'll start working on the control panel. Nope, I take that back. After all this, I'm going to get the monitor installed. You saw my post that I made about the monitor being ready to go. So I'm going to take this out and drop the monitor in, get this all cleaned up. So we'll do the inside, the monitor, then we'll work on the control panel. And then the machine will basically be complete and done, except for the cosmetic issues, which we'll tackle in the morning. So let's get started. Okay, never, ever, ever connect your PCB after replacing a power supply without checking your voltages first. So this could be set way too high, it could be set way too low, you can damage the board, and these boards are very susceptible to voltage spikes. So we're going to test the output of our power supply and adjust the voltage as needed before we ever hook up the connector, the jammer, to the PCB. So, that being said, I forgot to grab my power cable here. Okay, let's plug it in, turn it on, and let's verify some voltages. Now, I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, you can see that. Okay, so we're looking for 5 volts. Oh, it would help to plug the power supply in. Imagine that. Okay. So, 5.0, that's not bad. We want about 5.1. That way the voltage drop to the board ends up around 5. 5.094 is fine. 5, oh, come on. We got 5, 5, -5, and 12. 12 is fine. The 12 isn't critical. If it's 10.8, that's fine. So our voltage is spot on. So perfect. Okay. So now we can hook up our connector. All right. And you know what? I am half tempted to hook up the faulty board so you can get a preview of what it's doing prior to hooking up this board. In case something is wrong with this cabinet, I don't damage our working board. So that's a good idea. I'm going to hook up the bad board first and make sure nothing's wrong, and then we'll hook up the good board. Okay, on to the monitor installation. Okay, so the monitor's installed. Again, this is a Nano, however you want to say it, MS8-26SU, and it has the proper connections, everything for the factory stuff. So a quick and easy install, and it's already been rebuilt. You saw on my post about that, so it's ready to drop in and go. And we have our bad MK4 board with the sync issue, so we can use that to test to make sure nothing blows up. And with that, I think we're ready to test. We know our voltages are good voltage. So let's plug in the machine. And turn it on. Yep. As you can see, sync problems. So at least we know nothing blew up, nothing exploded, and it should work. So let's get the other board installed. I'll probably have to cut away here because I need 2 hands. So I'm going to get the other board installed, and we'll see what happens. So here we go. Alright, so the neighbor started mowing his lawn. Sorry about the noise, but the bad board is removed, good board is installed, everything is now done. We can take this out of here, and it doesn't really even need a wipe down. It really is in absolutely remarkable shape inside. I haven't done anything to this. It doesn't really even need to be wiped down or cleaned up or anything. It's really kind of immaculate. So that will pretty much I mean, for all intents and purposes, I can put the cover back on the power cord and close the back door and never have to get back in here again. So it's pretty good. Let's set this back down. And here we go. 1, 2, 3. All right. What do we have? Hey, all right. The other board is definitely shot. So stay tuned for an attempted repair on that board. I have never troubleshot a sync issue off of this, but I imagine I can just follow the input from the JAMA connector and go straight down to various components and see what I can figure out. Awesome. Okay. It's not on free play, so let's give it some creditos.
Outstanding.
Oh, it's got 19 credits on it. Leftovers from my testing.
Johnny Cage. Round 1, fight.
Alright, that looks awesome. So, yeah, let's kill this. And we'll clean the tube, clean some glass, get the bezel in, not necessarily in that order. And then we'll work on the control panel, and that'll be about it for tonight. Then tomorrow we'll get working on the cabinet work. The only T-molding that needs replaced is pretty much the sides of the control panel. The front's in good shape. These trim pieces here, or I'm sorry, these T-molding pieces here are good. Around the cabinet, there's really not much. Probably this one. I thought about just kind of touching this up with a razor blade, but depending on how much of the black I have, I may have enough to do this side, but it needs replaced anyway because of this. So yeah, I'll have to get this tackled tomorrow as well. But I'll fix this up, replace this T-molding, replace the T-molding around the sides of the control panel, and the front, it looks like. Yeah, the front too, unfortunately. And then we'll do all that in the cabinet in the front. All the stuff, all the cosmetic stuff we'll do tomorrow. But since we only have about an hour or so of daylight left, let's go ahead and get this control panel torn apart, get everything cleaned up, new switches, put back together, and then we, along with the glass and bezel, all that'll be left is the cosmetic stuff, and we can call this done. So let's get cracking. Okay, and just like that, control panel is clean. I had to kind of shift around the joystick because it was off center a bit. All the buttons were in fantastic shape, so I took everything apart, took the Lexan off, cleaned the control panel overlay, Lexan back on, buttons back in, all new switches, and everything works great. So if we look here, we got right, start, high punch, high kick, block, low punch, low kick, run, player 2 start, up, down, left, right, high punch, block, high kick, low punch, low kick, run, both start buttons to exit. Okay, so all that's left is the cabinet work and the cosmetic stuff, and that'll be it. And we're missing the instruction card, but that's okay because I have one of my custom bezels being printed up by Jeff West at XL Arcade. So that'll go on here when it's done. I'm probably going to have this complete and just go ahead and finish it and call it 100% done. And then when I get the bezel in on another video or the next video in whatever video I upload, I'll go ahead and show off the bezel install. But for now, it's not going to arrive before this is complete, and I'll show that later. But I'll go ahead and once I get the cabinet work done in the end of this part, that'll be it. So, and I'll show that off later. But for now, that's it. So I will see you guys in the morning, and we will continue on with the project. Let's go ahead and shut the garage door here, give you an idea of how this looks with the monitor and the marquee and everything. Let's close this up. There we go.
Sub-Zero. Round 1, fight! Well done. Flawless victory. Round 2, fight!
All right, so there you go. I will see you guys in the morning. Okay, it is the next day. We are ready to get cracking. So let's do just that. We're going to end up replacing the T-molding, touching up the cabinet, fixing this problem here, which will fix this being all loose. We will address this problem here of this being broken off, and then we'll of course do all of our touch-up and on the sides, and we'll get everything done. I'm gonna have to paint the front, all that jazz, clean it up, but it shouldn't pose a problem. The first thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna have to tackle this first. That way, while this is drying with the wood glue and whatnot, we can do everything else. So let's tackle this first and then see where we're at from that point and proceed on. So here we go. Okay, for along the back edge here, it's very common to see the artwork peeled away from the edge. This has a missing chunk, nothing I can do about that. We'll have to try and touch that up. But for this section here where the artwork is just peeled away, I like to use the Elmer's school glue. Just a little school glue will do you. And you take it and you simply just apply it to the back side of the peeled away art. And put it back here like this, and it'll hold it quite nicely. Let it sit for a few seconds or so, and there you go. It's already fixed. So I like to use the Elmer's school glue here for a lot of this stuff because it works. See, it already stuck. So and then after about half an hour or so, this should be good to go, and you don't have to worry about it getting chipped off again or coming loose because it actually dries much faster than the wood glue. I mean, you can use the wood glue, the Elmer's wood glue for that, but I think this school glue works just fine. And after it dries, it'll be just as good as new. So as a matter of fact, I need to kind of put a little on here and right there and set that in place. And then we'll continue on with all of the edges that need this kind of work done to it. I need to put a little more on the edge there. There we go. And that's about all there is to that. So everywhere on the edges that has this problem, we're going to take care of it in this fashion. And after it dries, it'll be good. And if you get some on here that you shouldn't, you can see that right there. Just take a little bit of isopropyl alcohol on a rag, squeeze it on there, and wipe it right off. There we go. Stick back on there. I hit that by accident. There we go. Okay. If you have to use tape to tape this around there, but there you go. That's an example of my preferred method of doing that. And we'll continue on with the rest of the edges here and do the same procedure.
Human error. Infinity. On a distant planet. Our galaxy. Android. Dystopian nightmares. Human error. Infinity. On a distant planet. Our galaxy. Android. Evolution.
Okay, well that's it. Only thing left is to install the bezel once I receive it from XL Arcade, and then I need to install 2 locks that I need to go up to the arcade and get a couple of locks. I got a bunch of them. They all match, each machine is the same key, so I need to get a couple of those to put in here, and once the bezel arrives, that will complete the project. So there may be a part 3 where I install the locks, install the bezel, and do a little bit of gameplay, but for now this part is now done. As we saw, I started with the corner here, and this is about as good as I could make it. It is not sticking out anymore. It is flat, and it looks pretty good. It's cleaned up. This is the best result that I could do with the situation that I was presented. So it's not bad. If you don't know it's there, maybe you won't even notice. As you can see, it's not too bad. But we got that fixed up as best as it could be under the circumstances. We got this all fixed. As you saw, the piece here that this attaches to, that attaches to the cabinet, had fallen off. I think somebody yanked this off, I can't say. So I screwed it back in, wood glued it in place, screwed it back in, and bradded in this piece on both sides, as you saw. So now it's nice and secure, better than factory. And I just put a couple of security screws back in these holes that they put in there with the drywall screws. Got all this back together. These screws removed and the areas touched up as best I could. I put toothpicks in there, broke them off, and then put a little dab of wood glue in there, let it dry, and then touched it up. So we got that done. We got this fixed. We got this corner fixed up. I think that was about it. We got all the cabinet touched up, as you saw. So it really did turn out quite nice. I'm happy with the result, and you can't ask for a better turnout with what we had. So yeah, that'll pretty much end this part. I need to get this outside here for some beauty shots, just some pictures and a video and of it out in the sun. But yeah, very happy with the turnout. You saw the entire process there. Should be no surprises as to what it took to get to this point. And I went ahead and put all new T-molding on. I originally was only going to replace the T-molding that needed to be, but I had enough. I even have some left over here. I ended up having plenty to do the whole machine, so I did the entire machine. The back doesn't really need much. It's a little scuffed up, but not enough to really worry about. A lot of effort and time, and I need to clean my lens. It's covered in dirt particles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Anyway, so I'm not really worried about getting these numbers off of here. These are stock numbers and serial numbers from the place that this came from. But overall, very happy with the results. So the machine is now pretty much done except for the bezel once it arrives and the locks. So yeah, let's get this outside. It's a bit windy outside, so I'm probably not going to talk, but I'll talk too much anyway. So that's it. Let's get it outside, get some direct sunlight on it, see how it looks, and call this part done.